Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the 19th of February meeting of the, oh, we have a lovely echo here.
Echo?
What's going on, Dave? We get an echo. Thank you. Maybe that's it. Hear from the room. Welcome to the 19th of February Planning Board meeting for the town of Kennebunkport. It is a hybrid meeting via Zoom and in person. I will caution you that there have been some technical difficulties with the Zoom voice. So if you are in a position to call in, which I don't think is going to happen this evening, we do have a dial-in number for you. I'll give you that now. It's area code 207-967-1618. We don't have any public hearings this evening, so I don't think there's going to be a need for anything with the video portion of Zoom. I'd like to start with taking attendance. We are missing 2 this evening, but both of our alternates are here. So Joe, Peter, George, Larry, and myself. Nina is out ill, and Mike is on travel. So there is a quorum of 5. We're all voting if and when that occurs. Begin with the minutes. Did you have an opportunity to look at the minutes that were distributed? Any issues? Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Joe?
Second.
Ye-
Yes.
Yes? Yes? Yes?
Approved.
5-0, all approved for the minutes. Thank you, Tricia. We'll open the meeting with, there's 2 items on the agenda. The first is item 241201 of Rabbit Run subdivision. This is the initial review of the preliminary application. Is there someone representing that here?
Yes, hi. And actually, it's, so I'm Jessica Jolin of Rabbit Run. This is actually the second time that you guys have reviewed the preliminary application.
Yeah, so this is a continuation of the initial review?
Yes, it is. Yes,
Can you refresh us as to
absolutely.
the
So,
nature of it? And
yes. So this is
While we're
a
back.
3-home subdivision proposed on Mills Road. And I'm going to turn it over here to Bill from Longview Partners. But, oh, perfect. Here's the, she's also called it up on the screen. I don't know if you guys see that as well. But we're on Mills Road,
Oh, yeah.
and we did some reallocation of lots. We've done a lot of work in the last month since we received your memo. And I would like to call your attention to Exhibit 1, which is our responses to that memo at that meeting. And in addition to all of the check marks that we have of things that we have completed, I just wanted to also add that in the last couple days since we submitted, the fire chief has sent a letter to us and Galen to approve the road and the house locations, and agrees that we need some sprinklers that we were planning on. So all 3 houses will be sprinklered. Yeah. So I think I'm going to turn it over to you. Okay, thanks.
Hello, I'm Bill O'Connor from Longview Partners. We, unfortunately, due to a company-wide illness, were unable to be at the last planning board meeting. And so there were some questions that were unanswered by the board, and I'm hoping to answer anything that you guys have tonight based on your most recent review. I'd like to thank you for such a thorough review. It really is a help to us as consultants to stay on our best game. You know when you're coming down to Kennebunkport that you better have your T's crossed and your I's dotted, and I do appreciate it. It allows everybody to operate under the same, rule book, which is terrific. I don't want to waste too much time going over, information that you've already received, but I did want to go through the memo that we've received from Galen to just talk through a few of the points that I have answers to that weren't able to be included in the application packet.
this is the 14 February.
That is correct, his memo of 14 February.
Thank you.
First on my list, just because it's one of my favorite things, is to address his comment regarding the soils mapping. He had a question regarding a small area of wetland that exists on Lot 3 that was not included as a hydric soil unit on our high-intensity soil survey. The Maine Association of Professional Soil Scientists, as you're aware, has a group of standards under which we map. And the minimum mapping unit for us to identify and actually call out a certain soil type as a different soil type than another is 1/8 of an acre. Because the wetland in question is a man-made wetland adjacent to a filled, mapping unit and didn't meet that 1/8 of an acre size requirement is why it was not actually called out on the soils map as being a wet soil, but it is included in the list of inclusions that are potentially part of that sort of master soil series. I'd be happy to answer any further questions regarding that.
Yeah, I'm interested in the staff's response. I know they called out this as a potential issue. I think,
Yeah, we just noticed the difference in discrepancy between the two, so, that's a.
you don't have a problem with
Nope.
it? Good, okay, thank you.
That's why we like working here.
Anybody else?
The next one on my punch list of things to discuss is the net residential density calculations, which caused a slight reconfiguration in the lot lines, but not a major, none of these lots changed in a way substantially with regard to gross square footage. If you,
Bill, do I recall correctly that there were some inconsistencies in the numbers in the different places on the chart?
for certain, and it
Those are fixed.
those have been fixed, and if you'd like a more sort of a blow-by-blow version of how we got to where we are, our surveyor, Patrick Johnson from JPS Professional Services, has had several meetings with Galen and planning staff, and he'd be happy to talk you through how they arrived at.
I don't know that we need that, but the updated material, as long as that's all consistent. I haven't had a chance to go through it, but
That would,
sounds like the office has, though.
yeah,
So we'll be good on that then.
excellent. We're still looking to, what is this next one? We did add clearing limits to a separate plan. We've chosen in this case not to busy up the overall subdivision plan with potential clearing limits, but we have issued a supplemental plan as one of our exhibits that depicts the proposed clearing limits and the existing clearing. As I'm sure you were aware if you were present for the site walk on this, there was quite a bit of development on this lot historically. Oh, no site walk yet? Okay. Anyway, there has historically been quite a bit of development on this lot, and there were several buildings that had to be raised, over time before this particular development. And so there are some areas there that are already cleared and filled, and we did our best to try to create new realistic clearing limits around these dwellings that would encompass both the dwelling areas, the driveways, and the proposed septic areas, because we know the trees will come out, to address those. We're also aware of the requirement for specimen trees to be located on this plan, which it would naturally fit very easily, and that work is in progress. The engineer for the project is still working on the stormwater management plan. We were hoping to receive a waiver for it, and didn't as a result of the last meeting. And so that is in progress, but we do anticipate that we'll have that here within a few weeks. The comment on number 32, areas of high or moderate value wildlife habitat. Across the road from the proposed subdivision, there is a protected turtle species that has been identified by IF&W through somebody's study in the past few years. Of course, IF&W doesn't divulge the exact species or location, but we did import the limits as best we could of the critical terrestrial habitat for turtle sighting, which is about 1/8 of a mile, onto our plan. And to be able to accurately respond to Galen's comments, we're going to do some calculations to prove that this clearing that will take place within the 1/8 of a mile from the turtle sighting is not going to be more than the 25% allowed through the vernal pool regulations through Maine DEP and IF&W. Basically, I'm not sure how familiar you are with critical terrestrial habitats and significant vernal pools. When there's a turtle like what is being reported there, you're only allowed to clear a certain amount of trees within the critical terrestrial habitat. It's 25% of the tree canopy is allowed to be cleared. And so we will undertake the exercise just to assure everyone that we're not within our clearing, within the critical terrestrial habitat that exists on the proposed subdivision, that we're not clearing more than the 25% of trees. Normally, things like this don't extend across property boundary lines, but because this exists on the state maps and it's not a hard thing to prove that we are complying with the regulations, we'll just undertake that exercise and have that for you at the next meeting.
So the critical area will be noted on the plan?
It is on one of the plans, and I believe it is on that tree clearing plan. It's just with all the other overlays. If you look in sort of the lower quadrant, lower left quadrant, you can see there's a magenta line that shows the limits of the critical terrestrial habitat. And those limits are something that, it's not a GIS layer, is really something that we plucked off of the beginning with habitat maps and did our best to apply to this site.
I see the line, the arc.
Yes.
That's going through it. Which side does the limit extend toward?
The limit extends only to the south. So the area below the open space lot and the house on lot 1 is within the critical terrestrial habitat. Everything north of there, towards the top of the page, is outside it.
So you're going to show that you're not disturbing more than 25% of the tree canopy
Correct.
down at the...
Yes, to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
It's hard to say what's happened on other lots. That's where these buffers get really complicated in order to, make sure that our projects are complying. And of course, I'm sure there'll be more recent and updated maps coming out every single year because, turtle studies really are almost de rigueur at this point.
Thank you. So you're saying you'll have more on that?
I will have
and-
exact calculations for the next meeting.
Thank you. And the item before that that you spoke to, the tree survey?
Yes.
Is that also next meeting?
That is in
Or
progress, and Patrick,
potentially,
that'll
yeah.
be ready for next meeting? Yes. sir.
Target is next
Yes,
meeting.
target next meeting.
I'm not harping on it, I'm just trying
No.
to gauge. Yeah.
No problem with me at all. We did receive, for the performance standards, a letter from the fire chief has been received after these comments came out. We are also in the process of getting the proposed driveway standards met for lots 1 and 2 to be certain that we depict the 2 10-by-20 parking spaces that are required by the land use ordinance.
Can I know I'm sort of interrupting you.
No,
here,
it's
but
fine.
Rather than go back overall
Sure.
again, if you're okay with this. Yeah, and maybe this is for the staff, the question is, I saw the comment said that the driveways do not meet the dimensional standards for the 10 by 20 parking, 10 foot by 20 foot parking spaces. And I guess I questioned my understanding of the ordinance there. I know that the dwelling has to have 2 parking spaces. But they don't have to be in the driveway, right? They can be in the garage, the parking spaces. And-
They
and-
can, as long as they have 2 spaces that are allocated.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't know whether there's, we don't have the details,
Yeah,
you
we
don't have the details, but if you're planning on a two-car garage or a 3-car garage, then that might be another way of taking care of this requirement, as I understand it, and I'm happy to be corrected there.
Yeah, again, if you look at those lots, just the way those driveways are situated, there isn't much space outside for them really to park. And again, we don't know what building they intend to build.
Right,
We have no
right.
idea, and again, I don't think they will either, because again, the clients do change.
Right, so you want to illuminate the potential for a problem there, but they can solve it in different ways. The spec doesn't say the driveway has to accommodate 2 spaces. It says the residence has to have 2 spaces.
There has to be 2 spaces for, yes, the vehicles. The other thing I think we noticed, too, for that is the dimensional standards of 1 and 2 with the 2 spaces. I'm trying to see what else is in this note. No, that's right.
That was the
Yep.
crux of this
Yep.
note, is that you gotta have room for two cars there. They won't be able to sell these homes if they don't have those spaces either.
Right.
Just so I'm moving forward in the right direction here, so you would like to see, even if there are 2-car garages conceptually depicted on the lot, we would still like to have that area available within the proposed driveway for the 10 by 20 to meet that dimensional standard?
I don't know of a dimensional standard that you need to meet for the driveway, is all I'm saying. If I'm buying that home, I'd like to think that I don't have to pull my car into the garage. I know you're gonna work on that anyway, right?
right.
Where they're gonna wash, maybe someone will wash it for them, but.
What we notice, and this is a staff perspective, is, and you probably all know people in your life as well, that they have a garage.
You don't use it.
They use it for keeping
Bicycles,
things.
the gym.
So just think about that in your planning mind is, that's why in normal developments, you see, I know this is a tight building envelope with, how everything is spaced out.
Yeah,
But that's why there is space usually outside of the garage, just to give room, and especially if visitors do stop by. Usually they have just it's off-street parking, that's it.
I think it's a healthy
Yep.
thought, worth considering, but, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. That's excellent.
Okay.
I do know in the last meeting, there was a question regarding the presence of some water bodies that were picked up on a GIS map of abutting properties. And so what we did, being aware of the square footage requirement for things that are considered ponds and shoreland zoning, we undertook an exercise to depict the areas of both man-made pond and seasonally ponded areas, AKA vernal pools, that exist off-site, and quantified the square footages. Each of the square footages of these both seasonally ponded areas, AKA vernal pools, and the man-made pond that exists at the rear of the Spang family cemetery are less than 10,000 square feet, with the man-made pond being the largest at 7,173 plus or minus square feet. The other 2 areas that are shown on the GIS map are actually man-made excavated areas that are acting like vernal pools, and the only reason I know this is because we had the pleasure of doing the mapping on that property as well. Neither of those small seasonally inundated areas would generally meet the criteria for being ponds, especially where they're, in drier years, there's almost no water there at all. But for the sake of just making sure that everybody's comfortable with what we're looking at, we did include a separate plan that depicts those areas outside of the subdivision.
Could you help us out, just point to where those are on this map that's up here, roughly?
We're in here.
Okay.
The one behind you?
They are outside of the,
Yes, they are.
over here, yeah, thank you, okay. That's what I couldn't visualize, yeah, thank you. So there's nowhere near your building envelope, it's really proximity to
No,
potentially.
it's really just, it's kind of in
Wet
where your
area.
building setbacks would be anyway. You wouldn't even really be infringing on them. As I mentioned earlier, stormwater management plan is in progress. There is a consideration for a waiver of the requirement for sidewalks, and I guess we're still waiting for guidance regarding that. And the requirement to get the utilities depicted on the subdivision plan is also in progress. Our surveyor, Patrick, is going to be meeting with the project managers from Rabbit Run LLC, and we'll have that for you by the next meeting as well. And to address the last of the comments, number 26, with regard to the monumentation along the proposed right-of-way at the frontage along the lots, The plan is to have those monuments installed. They just haven't been done yet. And, you know, I think in some ways, we're lucky we didn't do that because we had to reconfigure the lot lines ever
yeah.
so slightly. But that is going to be undertaken. Do you have a timing on that, Patrick?
My name is Patrick Johnson with JPS Professional Services. What we find is the monuments usually go in last because if you put them in now, they'll just be destroyed by the road
Yeah.
construction.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And that completes my run-through of the most recent memo that we've received from the planner, but I'm happy to take questions on any and all parts of the project that might have piqued your interest.
Would you guys be all right if I just go back down through those to that memo and make sure that we understand what the replies were? I think you hit them all, but let's just check and we talk about the waivers as we go through it too, that you alluded to. I'm just gonna touch the ones where it says comment outstanding, all right? I don't know that there's a reason to talk to the other ones, and again, somebody else on the board may want to. We said that the small question about the high-intensity soil survey and the wetlands, you've explained that. We're good with the explanation. Staff is good with the explanation. I think that's a settled, Nadia, are we correct with, is that a settled issue, the discrepancy between the high-intensity soil survey and the small wetlands?
Yeah, I think,
That explanation
yeah, I
satisfied.
mean, that works for staff, I think.
Yep.
Says, you'd like a waiver for the flood hazard area to be delineated on the plan, and since the subdivision is entirely outside of the floodplain, you've suggested a waiver, or the staff has suggested a waiver.
We've included the, you know, FEMA mapping for what it's worth to show that there isn't a flood zone on the lot.
Do you know where that was? I didn't see that.
Do you know what exhibit that is? It is Exhibit 8.
Yeah, here's the,
Okay.
Will it suffice?
So that would, yeah, that
We
would be a
don't-
waiver.
we
Yeah,
don't need a
just showing
waiver.
it's in the X, which is not in the 100-year.
Yeah, so that'll go to not
A waiver for
applicable.
which, excuse me, again?
That wouldn't be a waiver then. No,
Items
They've submitted that requirement.
On the memo, it's item 16.
Yeah.
And it talks about noting the flood hazard area. And I think we're saying it's not applicable because, as you've shown in Exhibit 8, the flood is outside of where you are. So no waiver needed on that. The tree survey is next time,
Yes,
but still in the preliminary phase.
it should be wrapped up
That's your
very
plan?
quickly
Yep.
once they get to the site.
The traffic analysis, we believe is not applicable. The project's under 200 trips a day.
That is correct. We did do the, you know, traffic generation calculations based on the number of lots, but we are not going to undertake, we're hoping that you won't require the much more involved study.
Right, so does the board agree that we need them, everyone's nodding, yes.
Are we going through the list of waivers? Yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely agree.
yeah, I think that'd be one that would make sense.
yeah.
The stormwater management plan is one you didn't, I mean, you said it's being worked, but the staff is recommending that we don't find this application complete until that plan has been submitted and reviewed by Acorn.
It makes sense.
You're okay with that?
I'm okay with
We haven't
that.
done it in the past. We've said it's complete when it's submitted, but we're not gonna approve it until Acorn has,
Keep in mind that once you find the application complete, that starts the clock for the public hearing and also approving or not approving the application.
so I'm
So
happy to
that's-
go with the staff's recommendation
Right.
here. I'm not gonna argue the
Yeah.
point. I just wanna make sure that this is a
Yeah, I think the
a
applicant
change, and I
knows,
think you're advocating for the change.
Yeah.
It's,
I think the applicant knows that, you know, they're still working on their stormwater report.
and
And that's something that we need time to.
what's the nominal time frame for an Acorn review?
So once we receive it, which you can submit at any time you guys get it. Don't
have to wait for the next
It takes 2
meeting.
to 3 weeks for Acorn to do the review.
Okay, all right.
So as soon as you can get it to me, I'll forward that to them. And if the board's I'm confirming this tonight. The board's fine with me sending it to Acorn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can get that ball rolling then, whenever you guys.
Excellent.
Yep.
And we did know that we weren't going to have a complete application tonight, but I didn't want to let too much time go by without being able to answer some of these questions that the board had.
Perfect, perfect. We talked about the turtle habitat. What did we say the answer to that was? You're gonna,
I'm going to
you're gonna
I'll
work,
do the exercise to
Okay.
prove that we are not clearing, tree canopy in excess of the 25% that is allowed, to the best of my abilities.
to the precision of the turtle survey.
Correct. Yeah, based on the,
No, it's a tough problem.
when you start scaling those lines, I mean, the lines themselves on the map are 15 feet wide, so you do have some wiggle room there, but we always try to err toward, in favor of the critter if possible.
I think that's clearly the right thing to do. Fire chief letter is in hand.
Letter in hand.
Would you
seen
be able to send that to me? I did not receive, I saw the email response back on February 12th, that was sent to the fire chief, but I didn't get any follow-up.
Will do.
And there's nothing on in the board packet for them to review, but,
And the fire chief is recommending sprinklers?
That is correct.
yeah.
Yeah, I did a drive over there, and that development just to the south or west, I'm not sure, of your development, seems to have a hydrant. Is that right?
They may have dug a fire pond out there. Having worked on that project, I know it was very ledgy. So either they maybe they actually buried a tank that was to serve as a dry hydrant on that, actually, because I don't know that they were going to get too far into the soil to dig a pond. But it's been a few years since I worked. Yeah. No, I don't believe that's town water there.
Just a couple more. We talked about the parking spaces. You're gonna
So-
clarify on the plan
That is
what you're doing.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, my recommendation would be, if they decide that they want to do a two-car garage, to suffice those parking standards, just put a note on the plan. And then if you do decide to increase your impervious surface, just make sure for the parking area outside, just make sure that the stormwater report reflects that difference. That's my only suggestion.
This is the everything's connected part of the
Yep.
meeting. All right. Sidewalks, you're asking, you don't want to put in sidewalks, correct?
No.
Consistent with the area's
I
look
don't
and
know where
feel.
they would lead to.
Is everyone happy with,
Happy with
Okay.
waivers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, staff's fine with
we
that
would agree
waiver.
with that?
Yep.
And, we didn't talk about the appearance of a flagpole lot. This is item 24 on the next to last page of the memo. We briefly touched on that last time. Does anyone have any heartburn about saying this is not, that's not the intent of this?
But I do have questions.
Oh, please.
Sure.
Okay, so let's
And
do
it
it.
did get smaller, actually,
You
with
did
the open space.
truncate it.
Yeah, it
And
did.
So I'm curious, what else did you try? It's a tough lot. What else did you think about to eliminate that?
So, it's not so much the reorientation based on that, flagpole lot, because, we showed on another plan that there's many ways to put a house there, and the staff had recommended that it was not really the definition of that. But really, the reorienting of the lots was based on, further investigation and discussions with the staff on lot size. So they were unrelated, but on another plan, you can see, I think last time what we said is, we'll show you how there's plenty of room for a driveway and a house and a well and a septic.
Yep.
And so we've shown that, and we've also made it shorter. It did go from the top to, let's see, up here or here, it did go the whole length of the property. We moved some open space over there. So in addition to all of what I just said, it is maybe 70 feet shorter than it was too.
I think you've addressed it nicely. I just was
Okay.
curious about your thinking.
Thank
You're
you.
stuck with the road and that right of way up top in the circle. But adding on the open space at the bottom, I think solves a lot of that problem.
Okay, great, thanks.
All right, so we're good with that. Utilities, you're going to, these are underground utilities? Yes? No?
Yes,
Yes. And they'll be on the plans during the preliminary,
correct.
okay?
Just on the utilities, it looked like on some of the earlier maps that there are utility poles bisecting the property now, is that?
There are some on the property now, but I don't think any of them have wires on them. They're all pretty old and are left over from when this, or the, sort of the mother lot where the house with the pool was connected to the condominiums that are just to the east and to the north of the lot. And I've spent a lot of time out there. I don't even recall seeing wires on them.
It's not like some old CMP corridor or something.
Yeah, I think they were private. Some of them even have, like old street lamps on them for people to be able to walk between the properties. It's, they've been not seen use in some time.
Oh, all right, thanks. That's way better.
And the last item was the monuments, and Patrick spoke to that. They'll be identified on the plan at the end of by the end of the preliminary phase, but you're obviously not gonna do the work until the future.
Yeah, we just wanted that noted on the plan, that's it.
Yep, perfect, okay.
They won't get installed until after construction. Yeah.
That's all I have. Now, can we just go down then through the board, and Joseph, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Peter,
I'm good.
George?
I do.
Yep.
And I want to, two things. Thank the town planning office for a really comprehensive job on going through each one of these. This is the first time I'm case managing a subdivision, and I was a little scared. But you asked a lot of real good questions, and thank the applicant for going through so thoroughly and putting it together. Question about the inland fishery and wildlife, the 25%. I haven't been on the property. I don't have a sense of how much canopy is there already. If it's vast open spaces of ledge and former buildings, you're gonna have to clear for a road, for houses, for parking, for driveways, maybe an area for a septic tank, no sidewalks. How much clearing do you expect you have to do? Is it pretty wide open, or is there a lot of
It's fairly
trees?
wide open. There's an existing road there already.
Yeah.
And so some of this clearing that has kind of been inherited by the owners of the project now, what we're gonna try to do to the best of our ability is limit the clearing as much as possible within these areas. But the areas that are most affected by the critical terrestrial habitat overlay are directly adjacent to Mills Road and also in the vicinity of the existing dwelling, and there used to be a barn and some shops there. So while there are some areas of undisturbed canopy, it is interspersed with existing clearing already. So what we'll aim to do is minimize new clearing in those areas, and they've done a good job of shunting the development within that critical terrestrial habitat zone into the previously cleared areas already. So new clearing shouldn't be onerous to the critical terrestrial habitat.
Previously cleared areas have been allowed to grow over, or have they been maintained?
No, they're generally maintained. The site it's not been entirely disused. Even as recent as maybe 2 years ago, the buildings all existed on the lot that have since been raised. So I do believe that it's not the entire parcel isn't necessarily in a pristine vegetated state to begin with, but we will endeavor to make sure that
That'll
we
be
don't
part of the tree
over-clear.
survey as well next month.
Right.
Okay. Those were my only other questions, thanks.
So what was the lot used for before now?
It was a mixture of a bunch of different things. They had excavation equipment up in there. It was a Spang family, and I believe they did some logging. There was a couple of barns. There was an old house out there. There were several areas of old foundation where the buildings had fallen in on themselves. So I want to say there's a no trespassing sign that speaks to some sort of an excavation business that was on the site at some point in the past. But it certainly has seen quite a bit of human use over the years. I've worked in and around this land for 25 years, and, you know, it's all kind of has the same feel. You know, you don't go too far before you stumble across an old car or, you know, dirt bike trails or God knows what, you know.
So, my interest is in water quality, because you're gonna drill wells, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, that's my first question. So, because it was used for something else, you know, do you take any water samples of the groundwater to verify that suitability for consumption?
No, not generally. I guess we would rely on a well driller's expertise. You know, my charge anyway as a soils person is to make sure that there's enough room left on the lot for them to drill wells after they've built the septic systems. In terms of water quantity, I think that's an easy thing to certify, but water quality would be something that we wouldn't know until the wells got drilled and they started testing the water, which I haven't heard of that happening generally for subdivision approval.
Well, I'm just wondering, you know, anyway, you may want to consider it, since the site has been used before, and since there's been mechanical equipment, you never know what got leaked into the soil, right? And maybe it's drained away, I don't know.
Feels like an expensive survey.
Well,
And it would be a hard one to know how to mount. You know, so say we wanted to really prove this out, what would be the burden of the proof? How many excavations or borings by a well driller would we need to do to be certain of this? I mean, I'm
Well-
happy to give the board what they want, but this one does feel like that could be expensive for the applicant.
okay, so this is unusual, okay, so I don't really want to make anything unusual, but my thought was, if you still had some test pits open, maybe you want to just take a grab sample.
But there was no water in any of the test
No
pits.
water in any of the test pits?
No, it's all ledge. You know, we don't get down that far before we start hitting Mother Earth.
Okay.
You know, maybe the deepest test pit on the site was 30 inches, and we were lucky to get that. So these wells would be into the bedrock itself.
Okay, that was my next question. So your wells are gonna be through or
Correct.
through the ledge, really?
Correct, yes,
So your inflow is gonna be through fissures in the rock?
correct.
Okay. Okay, no, I just look forward to your stormwater management report. Thank you.
I just realized there was one comment that I didn't remind us of, that K-factor that was requested by the Public Works Director.
And we're still working on that
So
one
it's on the
too.
agenda.
Yep,
All right, again, during the preliminary?
correct.
Okay. It's not a hilly spot, is it?
It's not really. There's a slight hill as you look to, you know, if you're standing at the frontage facing the subdivision, as you look to the east. But as you look to the west, you know, down Mills Road back towards Cape Porpoise, it's fairly flat and broad.
Okay. Any other discussion you all have? I think, as a board, I think we've said we want to continue this initial review pending this submission and return of comments by Acorn. Y'all good with that?
Yes. All right.
And to confirm, I just have two waivers here. That's for the sidewalks waiver and the traffic study, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. Thanks for capturing that.
yep.
Okay.
Was the discussion of the flood hazard area also a waiver?
That was, we're gonna remove that comment since they did submit, additional information that shows that the property is outside of the floodplain.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, thank you.
I don't often chair. Remind me, do we need to vote on continuing, or is that a?
So, yeah.
All right. I would move that we continue the initial review until the next meeting.
Second.
Aye.
Yeah.
All in favor? Yes.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all for such a thorough response. And
Yeah.
let me just comment, George said it well, this is an extremely beneficial for the board to have such a thorough document that the town staff prepared. But more than that, it wasn't just written up into a document, it was worked with the applicant prior to the meeting. So that's the best of all worlds. So thank you, thank you.
I couldn't do it without Nadia. I mean, she's really taken the helm in doing the workhorse load of all of this. So you really thank her. She's done a tremendous job, and she's an asset to this town. For transferring from the finance department over here, she's picked it up. She's just a sponge, and I'm so proud to have her as part of our team to really help develop this product for you all and to help the applicants as well, and knowing what to expect and coming from the board and preparing beforehand.
Speaking for the board, we really appreciate it. Thank you, Nadia.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you next time. And with that, we'll turn to the second of the two items that are on the agenda. It's item number 250201, 93 School Street. Mr. Woodman.
Yes.
I guessed right. Richard Woodman. Yeah. You're on the agenda.
Limited guessing here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, my name's Richard Woodman, and we're proposing to build essentially a garage. I think it says on the review here 24 by 28, but I think we've locked in on 24 by 24. It's just an open workspace in addition to the workshop that we've been operating on the property.
Can I interrupt for just a second? Because I read that, and I thought, he's putting up a garage, why is he coming to the planning board?
Well,
But-
I
but-
was wondering that too.
But if I understand this correctly, and I think it's important we all
Yeah.
get on the same page here, you have business at this location. Is it also your residence?
No,
No, so
no,
this
it's
is-
not. So it had to be a,
This is a business, which is what's the right word for that? It is a conditional use
correct.
in this zone, and because of that, and you are increasing the square footage that is devoted to this use,
Correct.
and that triggers a planning board review. It is an expansion, by definition,
Yeah.
of the use. I'm not
think
saying
that's-
you're gonna have more cars or anything else, but it is literally,
Yeah, and I think it was a
fits the
provision
definition.
in the last time I was before the board that
Uh-huh.
that it was one of the notes in it that when I
yeah,
met
it's
with-
right in the ordinance. I
Yeah.
wasn't here then.
Yeah.
That predates me, but.
Yeah, I
So-
agree.
So we'll look at it in that context. This isn't a new use for the area, it's a continued use, but you're expanding the floor area, and you're doing it by virtue of building this new structure.
Hopefully so.
No, that's the plan.
Yeah.
That's the request. Back to you.
Well, I don't know whether, should I take it through, I met with Galen as recent as yesterday, going through the same sort of comments that, of each of the performance standards. Do you want me to go through that, or how?
You can do that, or I can take you through it, however you wanna
Yeah,
do that.
I mean, I'm open to what the board,
Why don't you walk us through it? I have a memo here from, I think it was an update I think you've issued an update to the original memo. The one I'm looking at is from the 18th of February, yesterday,
yes, correct.
right?
Okay,
And if you could take us down through that, and if you could begin with one that doesn't have a comment on it. It says, "The lot is partly in the Shortland Resource Protection and Flood Zones." And I thought, well, that's interesting, because the application doesn't say it's in either of those two zones, and I don't really know what the flood zone is.
well, it's very interesting, and I would, is there any way to pull up that zoning map? I am blessed with having pretty much the largest FEMA 100-year non-rivering,
Yeah.
non-tidal
Yep.
floods. How I got this, I'm not quite sure. The map
You
is.
win the prize.
The map
I don't
is,
even know
the
what it
map
is.
is stunning.
What does that mean for the
Well,
FEMA, riverine, flood, whatever?
right. So there's my lot, correct.
Okay.
And if we can get the,
With the overlay up?
Yeah, the shoreline.
you'll see towards the street is where my operation is, obviously the building and the boats.
Oh, yeah.
And then the wetland, but that sock right there in the red is that delineation of shoreland, FEMA shoreland, correct me if I'm wrong, Galen, 100-year,
Yeah, it's non-tidal ravine.
it encompasses 3-foot oak trees, stone walls on the back edge of the property. There is the wetland delineation, if that's the blue, is fairly accurate. How that-
So remind me, that 100-year floodplain wins you the designation of resource protection, is that correct? Or is that shoreland? I don't remember my,
I think the way it was,
Yeah, if there's the two resources, then yes, it would,
one of those?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Because there's also a stream that goes through the property as well.
yeah,
I understand, and we've talked about the 75-foot setback, it's setback. It's just saying that this is shoreland means that it has to fit some definition that's in that.
yeah, I mean, it's something that I would, I've worked with Bill, who was here before, and doing the partial wetland delineation. A site walk of that red area is unremarkable compared to surrounding land as far as the,
Let's
so I mean, I
not
guess
get
what I'm.
into it unless you think there's a need. Is anything you're doing within 250 feet of that?
No, sir.
No.
All
that's-
right.
It's just the parcel has it on.
Yeah,
That's what we indicated on our memo.
Yeah.
It just,
And you're not looking to go near it or anything? It's just
No.
sort of
No.
interesting that I hadn't,
I'm
I
looking
was
to
surprised
question
by it.
its accuracy, but not at this point, because it's not,
It's not, let's
I'm
not put
I'm
it
not
in,
going out there to play.
let's
but
not put it in
anyways.
the way of this
Okay.
garage you want to build.
So it's not relevant to the permit?
No, but
That's
it
what
is
I'm hearing.
curious. I mean, if you expanded back and saw the whole town of Kennebunkport, that is the largest single area of that delineation on the map. And you
Yeah.
go across the street into Dickie McCabe's land, you can be knee-deep in some areas there. I mean, it doesn't match the ground conditions, but we don't, I guess, need to discuss it since we're not playing with it, but I am curious as to
Just spite.
its accuracy.
How it got
Just
that
spite.
designation.
Nothing I did.
But that's in the current map is still showing that as a,
yeah, so so I will say a comment here. Under that, if you look at that right there, where the parcel is, FEMA did update their layers. And so the accurate FEMA flood map is what's showing there, that blue. It looks a little bit like a wrench or something. So our shoreline zoning map hasn't been updated since 2015. So we always put a little caution. There's a disclaimer on here. This is just for illustrative purposes. Nothing is going to be an actual survey that's done on the field to see where the actual floodplain and other wetlands are. So we always put that caveat there. So this is just for illustrative purposes, and it's a good tool to help people know what maybe is on their property before they hire all these experts and for no reason. So
Johnny,
that's,
could you zoom out just once for context, please?
Oh, yeah, zoom out and see, it's remarkable to see.
too much.
There I am.
Yeah.
So it's that stream bed.
Yeah,
that it
there's a
could
stream.
Potentially, and when oh gosh, like back in.
No, but there's no elevation around me that
Yeah, that big
could
flood.
provide enough water to flood.
No.
okay, so if this were germane, we would probably be looking at refining the estimate
Yeah.
around the
And I
the
think-
latest FEMA maps, but
I think
we don't need to go there.
No, and I think as Galen pointed out, the blue wrench there, if you will, is accurate to the land.
Yeah.
It's wet back there.
Yeah,
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 okay.
That was fun.
yeah.
Thank
What
you.
else you got?
Yeah, we didn't get to the good stuff yet.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to, so the first one with the comment outstanding was the plan of the area showing, setbacks to, lot dimensions and such, and I did prepare, and if I can pass it out to you now, just an updated, dimensions on that. This is to show, our setbacks from the road, from the closest near, side boundary, to show the utilities, both water coming in and proposed proposed overhead.
So is this hitting items 4, 5, and 6?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
that- Yeah, there's a few of them that are updated.
All in the same, thank you.
Picture's worth 1,000.
Yeah, we just need one. We can share. Yep.
Give you a minute to take a look, but,
Well, we'll have time to study it after, anyway.
Sure.
Let's see if we can get to being complete here today.
mhm.
So this is, you've hit the wetlands comment, the driveways and easements comment,
Right,
and the setbacks from the water, which is the 75-foot, I take it, and then the edges of the lot.
correct. There was a comment about that no full survey was provided. I didn't think that was necessary at first. I did, Galen, did you get I sent you a digital copy of the full survey yesterday. Didn't know if that was able to pass on to the board.
I did not, when did you send that to me?
Early afternoon yesterday.
Okay,
Email?
Yes.
yeah.
But the point is, I do have a full survey showing the entire lot. We concentrated with, working with Longview on the, area that's in concern, but
I
if
did
needed,
rec-
and with me tonight, I have a paper copy of the full survey, but
Okay.
I did
we
receive
should
it,
be
so we'll put that in the, drive.
Let's agree that we have it then.
Yep.
okay,
Yep.
yep. So then,
Item 7 there.
7, yeah. So the site itself, where we're proposing the garage, is, it's probably the highest spot on the lot. It's elevated, rock ledgy. As far as tree situation there, in the 2 winters ago when we had, or was it last winter when all the trees went down? I had a birch land into an oak, and so we had taken down a couple trees there. The rendition, there's in the packet, there's just a rendition of the building there. There's really no trees that need to be taken down at this point, and all the trees, smaller trees, and there are some larger oaks, will remain up around it for a buffer. So it's
All the access that you're going to need for building this garage is all from School Street, correct?
It's in, if you can see on the overview, yeah, it's the same driveway in by the existing building, and any equipment would be right
Yeah.
there to it, so no added road or driveway is really required.
Okay. So in terms of adding impervious area, it's really the footprint of the garage,
That's it, yeah,
no additional parking
No.
or, no?
no.
Okay.
Moving on to the topography comment, there will be a little grading necessary in that 24 by 24 footprint. A gradual slope exists, a foot to 2 foot of, to put a slab there would have to be graded out, but around the building, I wouldn't propose any grading other than what
No,
construction requires.
There's no fill, or will there be some fill? I mean, you say you're kind of on
I think we.
a sloped area, right?
Yeah, I think taking the front of the building as it goes back would require some fill to level a slab there, or some chipping away. I don't know. Mark Welch always says that's rotten ledge and we can chip away at it, but.
No blasting,
So, no blasting.
too
no,
much.
no.
Yeah. Okay.
And how much of that will be grading past the 24 by 24? You know what size you're gonna be grading roughly?
See, I defer to whatever is required for the building, but I don't picture an apron any more than 3 or 4 feet. I mean, whatever is just to slope off from the backside of the building.
This is a slab foundation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parking, yeah, pretty much just like we were saying, there'd be no added parking. I didn't introduce, my son Silas is here with me, and I have the privilege of having him working with me now a little bit.
Awesome.
And so that, I don't know if that constitutes an employee, he does get paid, but anyway, so there's no,
No new
additional
personnel.
employees, or no, we're a pretty tight little shop.
Okay.
So no additional parking or access roads.
Yeah, it says the
really-
staff suggested a waiver. I think
Yeah,
your words are enough to, I think for me, yeah. George, yeah?
No questions.
Okay, waiver on that. Yes, please.
if ready, I'm moving on to.
Stormwater.
Yeah, 11. I,
What do you experience today there?
a
When it-
lot of snow.
Yeah, no, but I mean literally today. I mean, these days, when you have a bad deluge,
Right.
where's the stormwater go?
Very nicely, well, graded off into the woodlands, sort of looking toward, from the building away from School Street. If the water.
Back toward the stream?
What's that?
Back toward that stream that was
Well,
set back
actually, no,
from-
the stream is up over a grade and
Oh,
down
yeah.
again.
Yeah,
You can see in the topography. So no, it's the site was originally graded out by Mark Welch, and it just, when the sun comes out now, everything just sort of drains out. It doesn't, gutter out or rush out. So there's no, I don't know how to describe it, but it just, things
yep.
grade out and.
There's no strongly preferred direction, you're saying?
No, there's no, rutting of the area because it runs hard in one direction or another. So therefore, I didn't really address this stormwater about other, that way.
What's the board's take on that? Adding a garage essentially in terms of a structure. It's here because it's a conditional use.
Conditional use, so it's gotta come before the board. You've probably walked around that property once or twice over the past few years and thought, oh, I wish I had a garage right about there.
Yeah, sun shines in there, just nice. and,
Just
yeah,
right, just the spot for a garage. It's a 24 by, it's half the size of this room.
Yeah.
I don't think it bears the scrutiny of a new construction project where you're gonna have to,
Grading and, yeah.
grading, but I defer to the staff, obviously, but I don't.
What do y'all think of that?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I don't think that the impact for a 524-foot accessory structure is too warranted to have a new stormwater system put in or anything like that. Again, I don't think that this would be, but again, a future development, if they decide to look at something down the road, I do think it could be something that the board needs to entertain in the future.
It's a standalone
Yep.
application.
Yep.
No, I agree.
What utilities, electricity, is there gonna be running water, any
No.
kind of soup, nothing, it's just a electrical,
Just electrical, yeah.
okay.
No, there's,
Right.
we have water in the septic in the main shop.
Right.
and, so-
What year did the main shop go in?
Pardon?
What year did the main shop go in?
2013.
13, okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah.
So I would propose that waiver be allowed by the board.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. The applicant intends to indicate where the septic, utilities, and water are on site.
Correct, and there is on that handout in the front sheet there, an
That
indication.
is addressed.
Yeah, it's a very small septic system. The shop, it just has a half bath in it, and that was, we do have an approved, if there was further development on the property, there is a larger approved septic area, but we chose not to use that for a half bath.
So you're gonna run overhead from the main building?
Yeah,
back
that's
to
that's
the-
about
to the
60
garage?
feet, and I think it's reasonable distance.
Okay.
Don't think putting underground would make sense, especially with a septic system in the way.
Right, right. Ask for a waiver on a landscaping plan.
Yeah, as I said before, the area where it's sitting there is surrounded, and that visual depiction you have is accurate of what trees are there. If there was foliage out, you wouldn't be able to see the building from School Street. There's enough there. This time, you probably would, through the spruce and, bare trees, you would see it, but the distance has numerous trees there between School Street and my neighbor to the east, and there is very wooded in between us. We barely can see each other, even at this time of year.
Anybody have a problem with,
No.
we don't need a formal landscaping plan, so we would waive that.
Yeah, staff
Formal
was,
submission.
staff was suggesting a waiver, and in the
Sorry.
future, Richard, if you ever do start seeing ponding occurring on your property, you can easily put a rain garden in to help mitigate some of that stormwater. It's a really cost-effective way of,
A rain guard being,
it's a rain garden, so it's just, you direct your stormwater into
Oh, I
that.
get- okay.
Yep, it helps just to keep
To
things
absorb.
dry, yeah,
yeah,
yep.
okay, yeah, no, that would,
Lighting?
lighting, yeah, I said I think in the cover letter, all I'm proposing really is a shielded light at the entry door. There's no real need for any excessive exterior lighting around the building. Nothing needs to be lit up, and so whatever complies with the ordinances or whatever, but just an entrance light over the door so we find our way in. But,
Like you'd put on any garage?
yeah, just a dome down, nothing.
Do you need more than that?
Yeah, as long as the finding of facts say that any exterior lighting is going to conform with chapter 245.
Yep.
That should be good for the code enforcement office to evaluate the structure, and as long as the applicant comes in with his building permit with the actual fixture of what he's intending to install, that should suffice for the town. Is that
Yeah, I'm good
agreeable?
with that, sure,
Yep.
yeah.
No signs?
No signs, no.
We happily
Attracts
waive
people you
that.
don't want.
Yes, yep. Proposed use of all floor area.
So, yeah, pretty simple on the back of that 3-page sheets I gave you, it's open workspace. There's no interior walls. It's, I don't know where the workbench is gonna go or where one of the tools is gonna go yet, but.
Yeah, there's
and-
no offices, there's no,
No, nothing other than 24 by 24 open space. So if that suffices what you're,
will suffice,
Yep, that'll work.
okay. Any questions, gentlemen? Joseph? Peter?
I do have one question,
Joe.
and forgive my ignorance, I'm new.
sure.
What exactly is your business?
I'm a boat builder by
Okay.
trade, but it's custom work, woodworking, most of the time boats. Right now, there's a 100-year-old Chris Craft in the shop that we're completely rebuilding, and it also comes with, mechanical things, and that's, the garage area. My son's been a little more expertise in the metalworking end of things, and sometimes woodworking and metalworking don't play well together in the same space, so that's the intention there. But my main business too is also I run a charter vessel out of the river here, so this lays pretty dormant in the summer months. It's mainly a winter.
Great.
Although some activity will go on, rainy days, foggy days, and, so forth.
Thanks, appreciate that.
Yep.
Peter?
The only question I had, will you be using any degreasers in the facility? Is that,
Not in any volume. I mean, we might have a mechanical thing that needs, a little spray bomb of something and retain it. And, we have to retain all our solvents and keep those in collectible areas. So, no big vats, nothing, no big processes that way.
thank you.
Yeah.
No questions.
Larry?
No, thank you.
I don't have anything else. I would make a motion that this is a complete application.
I'd second that.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you, and then.
So we will hopefully be seeing you for a public meeting on the first meeting in March.
Okay.
That'll be March 5th.
March 5th. We'll be here.
Can I have a volunteer for case manager from among the 5 of us that are here?
I'll volunteer.
Joe?
No, I'm not gonna be here for the March 5th meeting though, so I can't.
Oh, that'll make it
I'm gonna
awkward.
be traveling.
Okay.
I'll be
Peter?
volunteer.
Yeah. Thank you. This is, we're good to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
the thorough response to the notes and all, made it easy.
Okay, good.
Possible we might have a finding of fact at the next meeting?
I doubt it.
Okay.
Only because, unless, I should let Peter speak for himself, but I know the first one I did, I wanted to take a cut at it and send it out for review, and
Yeah, I'll probably
So I-
appreciate that, but
So if-
sensitive to the
if-
timeframe, so I can pull it together.
Yeah. I don't think we're terribly time sensitive, given the conditions we're existing in right now as far as winter weather.
8 feet of snow.
it could change tomorrow.
Well, I hope it does.
I guess you're right.
But anything we can do to move it along would be great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to push for that, it just was curious. Yeah, it's not like they're trying to break ground.
Yeah.
Get some concrete form.
So
So would
there's,
that finding of facts be required by the 6th of March? Or the 5th of March, whatever the date was?
Normally they do, but again, it depends on your timeline, because again, as planning board members, you are all volunteer. So what can happen is you could have the public hearing and approve it that night, and just do the finding of facts in 2 weeks after that. So it's whenever you guys can get it done.
There are times we kind of rush it because it is time sensitive. And they're trying to get something done and it's been delayed and whatever, and so we try to accommodate.
But I'll send you the Word file of the memo. That way you have it, and we'll update it with the waivers that were granted. That way it makes it easier to just drag and drop if you need.
And they're doing the findings of fact, all kind of a cut and paste from a former findings of fact.
Yeah.
That's the template.
You don't
Template is the
use
last
that
one.
word template. You can't
Yeah,
use that.
and we usually do it in Word. Even if I do it on a Mac, I'll convert it over to Word. And then going through the application and cutting and pasting, and that's about it. It looks like a lot more work. Sometimes it is a lot of work. But,
This one doesn't sound very
this one is
complicated.
a
I think
great
this
one
one's
to
a
start
simpler
on.
one to do.
Facts are pretty,
Yeah.
I think it's a good one
I love
for
the
a first
plan
one.
of the
I think
building.
it is.
You'll see, like you do anything else, you get into it and you say, well, wait a minute, do I include this, do I not include that? And you'll have some questions, and just send it out, we'll give you the feedback. Thanks for taking it on.
Sure.
There's, item 3 is other business, and there's one listed and there's a second one I want to add. But let's talk first about what's listed here as a vote on the planning board bylaws. Who among you have looked at the bylaws as they were? I know that, because I spent a few hours with them today, that Nadia and company put the latest version that came out of the discussions we had here in the online board. What is that?
The SharePoint.
In the SharePoint, and also, of course, there's a copy of the existing rules and regulations. We said last time that we wanted to go through, I think Mike was one in particular who wanted to go through and make sure that, because people missed some of the discussions and all. I know I went through them today. There's a few I want to talk about again. Has anyone had the time, have you taken the time to go through them? Can I ask you to do that? If I send them out,
Yeah.
I'll grab them from there. What I did myself was I took the one that we bled all over, you know, that has its whole history of all of the changes we made over a half a dozen meetings. And I took a local copy and I accepted them all. I tried to run the compare documents. It turned out the easiest thing was to print a copy of the old one, it's about 6 pages, and print a copy of the new one and go down through them. And when you do that, I think most of it makes sense. There's a few that I'd like to talk about, and maybe you will too. But if we could target that, I'll send that out tomorrow, but if we could target that discussion for the next time, that'd be great. Yes?
Yeah.
We'll include both of you on all three of you on the thread of whatever comes out of that. Comments? None? Okay.
The only thing I would recommend is, once we do finalize it, I would like to send this to the town solicitor, just for final legal review, to make sure we're not gonna open up any doors.
I really appreciate
Yeah.
that. That's a super idea. I'm always sensitive to, you know, she doesn't work for me, but
Yeah.
I think that would give me a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
That we're not making a mistake that we're just blind to.
Nope.
Great idea. Second one, second item that's unlisted here is, did you catch that last meeting we had? Nina said that this was her last meeting and she's retiring from,
I saw the, I was surprised.
you saw it in the minutes. Yeah,
I
we
saw
were
it
all
in-
surprised.
I
It
saw
was-
it in the minutes,
It
yeah.
was like the last sentence, and
I
then
saw it in the minutes,
we
yeah.
went off. So,
I had to read it twice.
so, what did that say?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure that it was gonna be in the minutes, because I thought it might have been after the meeting, if you said it, but
Yeah.
yea, verily. So that puts us in an interesting situation in a couple of ways. First of all, I will note that there are 2 alternates that both started the same day. And there is an open position, this will be an alternate and another. Does anyone have a thought as to how to adjudicate that?
Flip a coin?
Should it go to the guy who,
I'm okay with flipping a coin.
I suggested arm wrestling.
no, that can get
It's like,
messy.
it was good enough for the Super Bowl.
I mean, do either one, I mean, do either one, maybe
You have
one of
strong
them would
feelings
prefer to
about
do
it?
it?
I'm happy to stand down or go for it, doesn't
Do
matter.
any of the existing members want to volunteer to take an alternate spot? Just checking. Okay.
Let me think about that.
Flip a coin. Well, you want to think about it?
Yeah.
I know there's a couple of us that, you know, still work for a living. Some of us are retired. So why don't we make that decision at the next meeting too?
Yeah, okay,
All right,
yeah.
good.
All right?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Well, I'm not gonna be at the next meeting. I'm gone for 2 weeks tomorrow to Hawaii.
Oh, you're lucky, and that's nice.
So that probably means.
All sorts of things can
Yeah,
happen then.
whatever bad things are visited on
You-
me.
You're
I'll
planning on
accept.
coming back
I'm coming back the day after the meeting.
from Hawaii, though? You're not
Yeah, that's
gonna-
why I had to step down from the project
You're
manager.
not shopping for real estate, or, yeah?
In Hawaii?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm retired here, I got plenty to do.
All right.
I'm looking for things to do, so,
Very good.
yeah.
All right, so we'll
I
say,
could afford to move to Hawaii. I mean, it's, I lived on Peaks Island for 3 years, I've had enough of island life.
oh,
For, yeah.
that's an intriguing place, yeah.
So I will say the town clerk did reach out to me, and she wanted to know which alternate wanted to fill into that position. And so that's something that, you know, I was gonna bring up later, but we do need an idea of who wants to serve, just so the Board of Selectmen can
Well,
make that.
I did check with Laurie today.
Okay.
And the Board of Selectmen doesn't necessarily need to make the appointment, because we've appointed.
already on the
we've
board.
already yeah, you're already on the board. We don't need to necessarily make one of you the permanent. But if it comes back that we do, once you make the choice, we would just put it on the next agenda, right?
We can just keep it the way it is. I'm happy with that. I don't know if there's a legal requirement to not have, whatever.
We want 5
Okay.
what do we call them, regular members, I'm not sure. And 2 alternates, and there will be an opening for an alternate as well. But let's decide, George, you think about it, and we'll ask Mike the same question. Or I'll ask yourselves that question, and we'll choose that next time. I'll bring a coin if,
Nobody has coins anymore.
I'll bring one, and Peter will call it then, if you're not here, and you'll live with the result.
That's
right?
right.
Live with the result no matter what it is.
All right.
So I have no emotions about this one.
Appreciate that. So the next thing is that we want to choose a chair, and, got asked beforehand, so are you the chair now? No, that isn't how it works. We select a chair, supposed to do it yearly, and a vice chair amongst ourselves. And is there anyone who wants the job, who feels like, gee, I've been wishing for a long time I could chair the meeting? Larry, I know I can see you smoking. The steam is
I'm
coming.
gonna nominate you.
It's not high on my list of things that I have desired, I will tell you that. And if you decide to do that, and if we decide to vote that way, I will do it through the end of the year, but I think it may be that my 6 years are up anyway at the end of this year, so, well, next July.
I think mine are up. I spent a long time as an alternate.
Did you?
I did.
Did a hell of a
I think
job.
I'm up this summer.
Of 6? Wow, time flies.
I have to double check that.
It's on the website. Can we,
Do-
I'll make a suggestion, we put that off till next meeting?
When
Yeah,
Mike
let's
is here,
put-
we have a full
Let's put it up,
complement,
yeah, till Mike is here,
and
And you have a other
Yeah.
member.
yeah.
we have all the members. Okay, let's do that then.
And
And
you
maybe
might just
Larry will
up and
change his
surprise
mind,
us.
you know, he'll decide he really.
I'll ask Nina to come back.
Okay, all right, next time. All right, so I've done a good job chairing this meeting. I've postponed the 2 other business items.
I had one thing.
New business.
No,
Well,
I just
additional
wanted to, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, thank all of you, but also wanted to thank Nina for her
For the
years of service. The Board of Selectmen was very appreciative. It was mentioned at the board meeting.
Nice.
They all extended their great thanks to Nina for her work. So I just want to make sure that was part of the minutes and part of the public that, the Board of Selectmen, and I'm sure you guys and the rest of the town would like just to thank her very much. Sorry she couldn't be here tonight, but
Yeah.
for her service. So, thank you, Nina.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Nina.
Thank you, Nina.
Yes,
Thank you, Nina.
yep.
Now you can call it.
Any other business, guys?
Again, I'd just like to echo the same comments from staff. It's been a pleasure to have Chair Perlmutter lead us during this time, and also to get to know her when I transitioned into this new role. She's been an asset for this town.
Yeah.
Really passionate about the environment, and I hope, she continues that passion in future endeavors for the service of the town, so.
Here, here. May I have a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Yes.
Aye.
Thank you, David.
Charles Larry Simmons, you.